So let's talk about shoes. Metcons versus Nanos. This is the hot topic. It's nothing new. It's been around for, I think, probably the past 2 years, ever since Nike came out with their Metcon 1, and it seemed like they were denied access to the games as far as being a vendor or even being a presence. So they had I forget what the hashtag was, but they brought, basically they brought their van or truck or whatever and parked it outside and had like this whole thing. So anyways, they made a lot of noise. They came onto the scene for CrossFit. It used to just be Nanos. Part of it was in retaliation to Reebok being this big super brand, and another part of it, I think, was it was the new fresh thing, which that's kind of the reason why I bought them. I had Nanos all my life. I had Nanos all my CrossFit career, and I started with the 2s, I had the 3s, I had the 4s. I skipped the 5s, and that's when I got the Metcon 2s. So before we get into which shoe I prefer, let's talk about the good for both of them. So here's the Metcon 2. I never got the Metcon 1, but I got this with the hope to try to change it up, seeing how I've always had Nanos. I actually did have Innovates at one point, but those didn't last long at all. Those were too minimalist. So going through the positives of the Metcon 2 is the sole is very sturdy, but still flexible, so you don't really necessarily feel too much friction when you're running. It's a wide base, and for a big guy with big feet, that is very, very important, because if you've got big feet, you know how it feels to have a small toed shoe sort of wrap around the front of your foot. And they were still somewhat lightweight. As a CrossFitter, you don't want to feel like you have too much going on your feet, and these felt somewhat light. The Nano 6, I got the sweet Stealths. I mean, as always with Reeboks, a very, very minimalist shoe, but still very sturdy. It's held up to a lot of the different workouts that I've put it through. They typically don't smell too bad. I don't know what to say. I've never done a product review before. And while they don't have a super wide toe, it's still wide enough for big feet. And this is something that I think the Nano has sort of kept true throughout the different versions. I think the Nano 2s were a little bit narrow, and I love the mesh, very, very breathable. Negatives for the Metcon: they didn't last at all. Like I said, I take my shoes through their paces, and my 2s, my 3s, my 4s all lasted almost a year and a half. Of course, the sole did break down over time because I do walk on the edge of my feet, and I use that when I run, when I'm lifting, so that gets a lot of wear. These wore out really fast. Like this one, the sole started to peel off right here. That tells you the quality is a little bit lower. They're clunky, definitely clunky. I think that's the sole is just a little bit too thick, and you can kind of feel the difference if you were to squeeze around where the ball of the foot is. Compared to the Nano, it's a little bit more minimal. So this feels a little bit heavier, and that's not going to be good when you're trying to do something like toes to bars, where you're constantly lifting your feet up to the bar. It's extra weight that you don't want. It's going to be okay for rope climbs, of course, because this is definitely sturdier here. And I hate the gimmick. The gimmick of the handstand push-up right here, it didn't make me want to buy it. It was definitely interesting, but then when I tested it out, it didn't do anything. Because typically you're not supposed to hit your heels and finish the movement. You're supposed to, as soon as you hit extension on the handstand push-up, have your heels on the wall. So that I don't see helping. I think that was just their attempt to shove their way into the CrossFit community. And they smell. Like, for as long as I had them, they've retained stink, which my Nanos, all of my Nanos have never really gotten to that point where I can't wear them anymore or keep them in my bag. And to be completely honest, I don't really have any negatives for these yet. I'm getting a little bit of wear right here, and I can't really figure out what that might be, but I've done rope climbs in them and they felt great. And they're light, they feel great when I run, and I think I said that in the positive. So needless to say, I think you've already figured out which one I would choose. If you're a new CrossFitter, or you just signed up for the Open, or you're stuck in that sort of, I'm not sure if I want to buy the Nano 7s or if I want to get the Metcon 3s. If you're looking for an opinion, get the Nanos. One, they've been doing it for longer than Nike. I mean, Nike's been a shoe company forever, but Reebok's been in the functional fitness world longer. I think it also comes down to the athletes that are a part of their team. Nike is definitely building a team of high-level athletes. Like Matt Frazier's now a Nike athlete, Katrin David's daughter. They'll obviously get a little bit more R&D from those athletes. At least for now, I think the Nanos are the way to go. I don't really like the design like initially released for the Nano 7, but I've seen the white and the black shoes, like all white, all black, and they look phenomenal. And they kind of went with the no bull texture over the toe. So it has like that rough look to it. It's really cool. So if you're new to CrossFit or you've been around and you're trying to figure out what you're gonna buy, Nanos all the way.